The sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting the desert in an eerie, blood-red glow. Amidst the shifting sands, an ancient temple emerged, untouched by time. Legends spoke of a queen whose power could reshape the very fabric of the world. Now, after centuries of slumber, she awakens. But this isn't just any queen, this is the Queen of Egypt, and she's ready to reclaim her throne. The camera opens with sweeping shots of the vast Egyptian desert, the wind carrying sand across the ancient landscape. The world seems still, but there is an undeniable sense of tension in the air. The horizon shimmers under the oppressive heat, and in the distance, a colossal pyramid looms, a monument to something long forgotten. At the foot of the pyramid, a team of archaeologists and military personnel, led by Navy Commander David Harrell, played by Tom Cruise, approach cautiously. David is a battle-hardened man, his face etched with years of experience, but something about this mission feels different. He can feel the weight of history pressing down on him. As they reach the entrance of the pyramid, the group halts. The doorway, covered in symbols that seem almost alive, pulses with an eerie glow. An energy radiates from it, unseen but unmistakable. The archaeologists hesitate, but David, driven by duty, steps forward. "We need to understand what we're dealing with here," he mutters under his breath. The door creaks open, revealing an interior that feels otherworldly, a chamber lined with gold and ancient hieroglyphics, untouched by time. As the team steps inside, they hear whispers in the wind, a soft, almost imperceptible voice that seems to beckon them deeper into the tomb. David's eyes narrow, sensing something he can't explain. It's as if the air itself is alive, charged with an unnatural energy. As they venture further into the chamber, they discover a massive sarcophagus, its surface covered in intricate carvings that glow with a faint, mystical light. "Could this be her?" one of the archaeologists asks in awe. "The Queen?" Suddenly, the chamber shakes violently, knocking them off their feet. The ground beneath them rumbles as a low, rumbling sound fills the air. The lights flicker, and then, in an explosion of sand and energy, the sarcophagus cracks open. A figure slowly rises from the sarcophagus, a woman clad in ancient royal attire, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly power. Her hair, dark as night, swirls around her, and her presence radiates a force like nothing they have ever encountered. She is beautiful, but there is a terrifying edge to her, a queen who has waited for centuries to reclaim what is hers. The ground trembles as she rises to her full height, her voice echoing in the chamber. "The time has come," she declares. Her words vibrate through the very air, shaking the walls of the pyramid. The Queen of Egypt has awakened. David, regaining his footing, watches in shock as the world around him begins to shift. The sandstorm outside grows more intense, the sky darkening as the Queen's power expands. It is not just an awakening, it is a return, one that will change the world forever. "Get out. We have to stop her," one of the soldiers yells, but David knows it's too late. The forces they're up against are beyond anything they've ever faced. The camera cuts to the outside, where a massive sandstorm surges, engulfing the pyramid. The wind howls as ancient power is unleashed upon the world once more. The Queen of Egypt has returned, and the battle for her kingdom, no, the world, has only just begun. The trailer ends with a close-up of David's determined face, his gaze fixed on the horizon where the storm rages, as the screen fades to black, leaving only the sound of the howling wind. The Queen is back. And her reign will be unstoppable. The first clash between ancient power and modern weaponry happens under the watchful eyes of the world's greatest heroes. But the true enemy is still unknown, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The camera opens with a shot of the Egyptian desert, now swallowed by an unnatural storm. The sands swirl violently, obscuring the sun as if the very earth itself is recoiling. In the distance, the massive pyramid that once stood silent now pulses with dark energy, a beacon to all who dare challenge its power. Inside the pyramid, Queen Nebet, the long-lost queen of Egypt, stands tall, her eyes glowing with an ancient force. Her once fragile, centuries-old body now radiates an otherworldly power, capable of summoning storms and bending nature to her will. The air itself crackles with magic as she steps forward, her hand raised to command the winds. "Let the world witness the true power of Egypt," she declares, her voice booming with authority. Outside, the forces of modern civilization are in disarray. The Egyptian government, desperate to contain the threat, scrambles to deploy its military, but conventional weapons seem powerless against the storms and the supernatural forces summoned by the Queen. Meanwhile, in the Mediterranean, Navy Commander David Harrell watches as satellite images show the Queen's power spreading across the globe, an unstoppable force threatening to bring the world to its knees. Desperation sets in as he realizes that standard military tactics won't be enough to stop her. "She's not just a threat to Egypt," David murmurs to his team. "She's a threat to the world." The scene shifts to the sky, where two familiar figures arrive, Superman and Thor. The earth trembles as they descend, each appearing like gods among men. Superman scans the area with his X-ray vision, sensing the unprecedented power emanating from the pyramid. Thor, his hammer Mjolnir in hand, glares at the storm with a deep sense of foreboding. "We've never faced anything like this," Superman mutters. "Her power, it's beyond even what I imagined." Thor's grip tightens on Mjolnir. "Then we fight her like we would any other god." The camera cuts to the military, watching in awe as these two extraordinary heroes prepare to confront the ancient queen. The military's planes take off in a desperate attempt to bombard the pyramid, but they are quickly torn apart by the storm, leaving only chaos in their wake. Meanwhile, inside the pyramid, the queen raises her hand to the sky, her fingers curling as if commanding the heavens themselves. A powerful beam of light erupts from the tip of her hand, striking the heavens and creating a shockwave that rattles the earth. David, watching from his command center, knows they have no time left. "We need to stop her. Now." Superman flies toward the pyramid, his eyes glowing with intensity. Thor follows, his hammer crackling with electric power. As they approach, the queen summons her warriors, ancient figures, clad in armor, wielding weapons forged in forgotten times. They rise from the sands, their eyes glowing with the same ethereal energy as the queen herself. Thor leads the charge, his hammer striking the ground with a deafening roar, sending shockwaves through the enemy ranks. Superman swoops in, his heat vision cutting through the queen's army with surgical precision. But even with their combined might, the ancient warriors are relentless, as if bound to the queen's will, unstoppable in their pursuit of destruction. David, coordinating the attack from the ground, realizes they cannot win by force alone. The queen's power is too great. "We need to find a way to neutralize her magic," he says urgently, as the battle intensifies around him. The scene cuts to the queen, who watches the battle unfold from her throne, an eerie smile crossing her lips. Her power is growing stronger, and she knows that with every passing moment, she is closer to reclaiming what is rightfully hers. "Let them try," she whispers. "It will make their fall all the sweeter." The trailer ends on a cliffhanger, with Thor and Superman locked in combat with the Queen's warriors, while David races against time to discover the Queen's true weakness. The screen cuts to black as the sounds of battle fade into the distance. The battle has begun. But who will survive the storm? To defeat an ancient power, they must uncover the long-lost secrets buried deep in Egypt's forgotten history. But what they discover will change everything. The trailer opens in the midst of the battle, chaos swirling around the ancient pyramid as Superman and Thor struggle to hold back the Queen's relentless warriors. The storm rages with unearthly force, the very air trembling as if the earth itself is crying out in fear. Despite their power, the two heroes are barely holding their ground. "We need to stop her, now," Superman yells over the roar of the wind, his voice barely audible. Thor swings Mjolnir, sending another wave of enemies flying, but even the god of thunder is starting to tire. The Queen's warriors don't seem to relent, and the pyramid's power continues to grow. Back at the command center, Commander David Harrell watches the scene unfold through satellite feeds, his face grim. The military's attempts to halt the attack have failed, and the ancient magic unleashed by the Queen is beyond any conventional weapon. The situation is dire. "We need answers," David says, more to himself than anyone else. "There has to be something we're missing." The camera shifts to a dark, ancient library beneath the Great Pyramid, where David, alongside a group of archaeologists and military experts, unearths forgotten scrolls. As they carefully unroll an ancient text, David's eyes widen in disbelief. "It's all here," he murmurs. "The Queen's origins, but it's not just magic. It's something else." The camera zooms in on the text, revealing the Queen's true history. Nebet, the Queen of Egypt, was not merely a ruler. She was a being far older than humanity, an entity from a forgotten time. Her power was not just born of Egypt but was connected to something far darker, a cosmic force that had allowed her to manipulate time, space, and reality itself. Her reign was fueled by an ancient pact with an otherworldly entity, one that bound her life force to the very land of Egypt. But her ambition had no limits. As the text reveals, Nebet had attempted to transcend the mortal realm itself, seeking eternal life and domination over all. She betrayed the gods of Egypt, using forbidden rituals to bind herself to an ancient, malevolent cosmic power. However, this act of defiance led to her eventual downfall, as the gods cursed her, sealing her away for eternity, so that she would never again threaten the balance of the world. David stares at the final, chilling line of the scroll. Her return would mean the end of the world as we know it. A cold shiver runs down his spine. The Queen's power is not just magical, it's the result of a dark pact with something far beyond this planet. With this new knowledge, David rushes to the battlefield, where Thor and Superman are struggling to fight off the relentless tide of warriors. "We need to stop her magic, it's not just her strength," David shouts as he runs up to them. "It's the pact she made. We need to find a way to sever it." Thor slams his hammer into the ground, sending a shockwave that scatters the enemies. "We are outmatched. She is no ordinary foe." Superman, flying in from above, narrows his eyes. "We can't let her complete whatever she's trying to do. The longer this goes on, the stronger she becomes." In a desperate bid to turn the tide, David proposes a plan. "We need to locate the source of her power, the original ritual site where the pact was made. If we can disrupt the bond between her and whatever entity she's linked to, we might be able to weaken her." But the Queen, sensing the shift in the battle, emerges from the pyramid, her form radiating even more power than before. Her eyes burn with fury as she glares down at the heroes below. "You think you can defeat me," she sneers. "I am beyond your reach. Egypt is mine, and all who stand in my way will fall." As she raises her hand, a massive wave of dark energy pulses out from her, sending Thor and Superman tumbling to the ground. The air is thick with dread. The Queen's power is unstoppable, and the ancient curse that binds her to Egypt is only growing stronger. Desperation sets in. David knows the clock is ticking, and with every passing second, the Queen's hold on the world tightens. The camera shifts to the library once more, where David and his team uncover one final, cryptic detail in the text. The one who dares break the pact will pay with their soul. David looks up, realization dawning on him. We're not just fighting for Egypt. We're fighting for the entire world. And if we're going to defeat her, someone may have to make the ultimate sacrifice. The trailer cuts to black, the sounds of battle echoing in the distance. The secrets of the past are now the key to the future. But will the price be too high? The forces of good and evil converge for an epic battle that will determine the fate of the Earth. But as the final stand looms, alliances shift, and a shocking betrayal threatens to tear the team apart. The screen opens on a desolate landscape, the sky shrouded in thick, swirling clouds as the ground beneath shakes violently. The Queen's power has reached its peak, an overwhelming, unstoppable force that warps reality itself. Her soldiers stand ready, their eyes glowing with the same dark energy that pulses from her every movement. Superman and Thor, battered but determined, prepare for their final assault. They know the fate of the world hinges on stopping the Queen. The battle between ancient and modern forces has raged for hours, but now, it's time to end it. She's not just a threat to Egypt, David Harrell says, voice grim, she's going to change everything. The world will fall into her hands if we don't act. The camera cuts to David standing before the ancient temple, the last piece of the puzzle now falling into place. He's found the location of the ritual site, the source of the Queen's power. But the price to break the curse is steep. The only way to weaken her is to sever the bond between her and the cosmic entity she's bound to, a task that will cost someone everything. David knows that this will be his moment to make the ultimate decision, the survival of humanity or the sacrifice of his own soul. Meanwhile, Thor and Superman are at the heart of the battlefield, facing the Queen's ultimate form, her power now radiating from her like an inferno. Her presence distorts the landscape, turning the very ground into molten sand. As the two heroes close in, Thor wields Mjolnir with ferocity, calling down the full might of the storm, while Superman unleashes his heat vision to carve a path toward their foe. But just as they prepare to strike, a sudden, unexpected shift occurs. In the heat of battle, David steps forward, revealing the knowledge he's uncovered in the ancient texts. I've found a way to stop her. We need to disrupt the ritual at its source. But just as hope begins to rise, a shocking betrayal shakes the team to its core. One of their own, a trusted ally, reveals their true allegiance. They have joined forces with the Queen in exchange for the power she offers. The ally, General Martin, steps from the shadows, his eyes now glowing with the same sinister light as the Queen's soldiers. You fool, Martin sneers. You think you can defeat her? She's beyond your understanding, and now, you'll all kneel before her. With a wave of his hand, General Martin summons a new army of spectral warriors, powerful beings from forgotten realms, to reinforce the Queen's already formidable forces. The betrayal throws the entire team into disarray as they're overwhelmed by the onslaught. David's heart sinks as he realizes the depth of the conspiracy. General Martin's betrayal isn't just a personal vendetta, it's a calculated move to tip the scales in favor of the Queen's domination. The stakes have never been higher. Get him. David orders, but it's too late. The heroes are fighting not only the Queen but now her traitorous minion and his new army. Superman takes to the skies, using his super speed to disable Martin's forces, while Thor charges in with Mjolnir, calling down thunder to decimate the enemies at his feet. But the Queen, now fully empowered by the betrayal, becomes an unstoppable force. Her dark magic warps the air around her, and the very landscape bends under her will. The once gleaming pyramid now looks like a twisted monument to her power. With every wave of her hand, the sky cracks open, unleashing catastrophic storms. David watches, realizing that time is running out. The ritual must be stopped, but no matter how much they fight, the queen grows stronger with every passing moment. The team must face the inevitable truth: to defeat her, someone must make the ultimate sacrifice. David, now fully aware of what must be done, turns to the others. I have to do it. I have to sever the bond. Before anyone can protest, he rushes toward the heart of the pyramid, the ritual site. As he approaches the ancient altar, the queen's voice rings out, low and menacing. You think you can stop me? You cannot change fate. Your world will be mine. David reaches the altar, placing his hand on the glowing stone, ready to sacrifice himself. The screen flashes white as the energy in the pyramid explodes outward. The queen screams in rage, but her power begins to dissipate as the bond is severed. As the dark energy begins to fade, the battle outside reaches its peak. Superman and Thor charge in one final assault, combining their powers in a climactic display of strength. Thor's hammer strikes the ground with divine fury, while Superman unleashes a full barrage of heat vision, blasting the queen into oblivion. The camera shifts to David, standing at the altar, his face etched with pain and determination. The final moment is upon him. The queen's reign is over, but at what cost? The trailer cuts to black. In the end, heroes are made from sacrifice. The final stand has ended, but the price of victory has yet to be paid. In the aftermath of the battle, the world will never be the same. But even in victory, there's a price to be paid. The true legacy of the Queen will echo through history, leaving questions that may never be answered. The camera opens on a haunting silence, the storm that once ravaged Egypt now beginning to subside. The desert, though scarred by the chaos of the battle, seems almost peaceful under the soft light of a new dawn. The Queen's pyramid stands in ruins, a shattered monument to the power that once threatened the world. Superman and Thor stand together amidst the wreckage, surveying the scene. Their faces are etched with weariness, their bodies bruised from the epic confrontation. Despite the victory, there's an unmistakable sense of sorrow in their eyes. The Queen's reign has ended, but the cost has been far greater than any of them could have imagined. David Harrell, the once reluctant Navy commander, stands at the center of the battlefield. The sacrifice he made, severing the bond that tied the Queen to the cosmic entity, has come at an unbearable price. He stands alone now, looking out at the ruins of the ancient temple. His heart is heavy with the weight of what he has lost. The world is safe, but he is no longer the man he was. The camera shifts to a memorial service held in the aftermath of the battle, where soldiers, officials, and civilians gather to honor the fallen. A statue of David, standing tall against the backdrop of Egypt's desert, is unveiled. His sacrifice has ensured the survival of mankind, but the question remains, what is the legacy of the Queen? We will remember him, one of the soldiers says somberly, as a flag is lowered to half-mast. His name will echo through history. But even in the quiet aftermath, there are hints that the Queen's legacy is far from over. At a secret research facility in the heart of Egypt, a group of scientists are studying the remains of the Queen's pyramid. There, they uncover fragments of ancient texts, fragments that suggest the Queen's influence may not be entirely gone. The cryptic messages speak of an ancient power, one that transcends space and time. The cosmic entity she had once been bound to still stirs in the depths of the universe. The scene cuts to David, who now lives in solitude, haunted by the memories of the Queen. He dreams of the entity she had been tied to, of whispers in the dark. Her voice still echoes in his mind, calling to him. "You cannot destroy me, David Harrell," she had said. "You have only delayed the inevitable." David shakes his head, trying to shake the haunting memory. "I did what I had to do," he whispers to himself. But he knows, he will never truly be free of her influence. Back in the United States, the world watches the aftermath of the battle with bated breath. News reports flood the airwaves, discussing the historic confrontation and the mysterious figure who sacrificed everything to save humanity. Yet beneath the surface, something stirs. Unknown to the public, deep in the bowels of a secret government agency, agents continue to study the cosmic forces that the Queen had unleashed. They know that though she is gone, the forces she tapped into are still out there, waiting. As Superman and Thor depart, they exchange one last, knowing look. The world is safe, for now, Superman says, his voice a mixture of hope and wariness. But we both know it's only a matter of time before something else comes. Thor grins, his hammer crackling with faint energy. Then we shall be ready, he says, the weight of his words heavy with the knowledge that heroes are always needed. The screen shifts back to David, standing alone in the desert, watching the horizon. He knows the legacy of the Queen will never be fully erased. The world may have been saved, but the scars of the battle will remain, etched in the land, in the memories of the fallen, and in his own soul. The Queen is gone, but her legacy lives on. In the silence of the desert, in the whispers of the wind, her story is far from over. The camera zooms out slowly, the image of David standing against the endless sands fading into the horizon, as the screen cuts to black. The battle may be over, but the war for the future has just begun.